All right, let's dive into the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Assembly. It's the powerful institution that writes the laws for one of Pakistan's most important provinces. So let's get right into it.
I mean, that's really the big question, isn't it? How does this one group of just 145 people end up shaping the daily lives of millions? Today, we're going to break down exactly how it works, its structure, its powers, and, a little bit of its history, too. So, first things first, what are we actually talking about here? Well, it's a unicameral legislature. That's just a fancy way of saying it has one single chamber, or house. Think of it as the main hub for two huge jobs, creating laws and keeping the provincial government on its toes. Okay, so who are the people inside this powerful building? Let's take a look at the numbers and the roles they play. The magic number here is 145. The assembly is made up of 145 members who are known as MPAs, or members of the provincial assembly. But it's not just a free-for-all. How those seats are distributed is really important. And when you break those 145 seats down, it gets pretty interesting. So, you've got 115 general seats that are filled through direct elections. But then there are 26 seats specifically reserved for women and another 4 for non-Muslims. And the way those work is that they're given to political parties based on how many general seats they win. It's a system designed to make sure these groups are always represented in the legislature. Now, if we look at the political landscape right after the February 2024 elections, one thing just jumps right off the page: this huge number of independents. Now, while they are officially independent on the ballot, most of them are actually backed by the PTI, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party. And you can imagine, this kind of unique situation has some pretty big implications for how the assembly actually works and how a government is formed. And who's in charge of making sure everything runs smoothly? Well, you have the speaker and the deputy speaker. Right now, those jobs belong to Babar Salim Swati and Surya Bibi. They're basically the referees in the chamber, making sure the debates follow the rules and that the assembly can get its business done.
So we know who's in the assembly, but what's their actual job description? What do they do all day? Well, their responsibilities really boil down to 3 massive powers. These 3 jobs are the absolute pillars of the assembly's authority. 1, they make the laws. 2, they control the money. And 3, they hold the government accountable. Let's take a closer look at each one. First up, making laws. The Constitution, specifically Articles 141 and 142, basically gives the Provincial Assembly the green light to create laws on pretty much any topic that isn't already reserved for the federal government. This gives them enormous authority over all sorts of local and regional issues. Second, they manage the purse. And let me tell you, this is a big one. The provincial government cannot spend a single rupee, I mean literally not one, without getting the Assembly's approval first. Every single budget, every expenditure has to be authorized by these representatives. This is easily one of their most powerful tools. And third, their job is to keep the government in check. The chief minister and their entire cabinet are directly accountable to the assembly. What that means is the assembly can question their policies, demand answers, and ultimately hold them responsible for how they're running the province. Okay, so holding the government accountable sounds great in theory, but how do they actually do it? Well, they have a specific set of tools for that, all laid out in their official rulebook. These are called the devices of accountability. The best way to think of them is like a toolbox that any MPA can use on the floor of the House. Each tool is designed to demand transparency and really dig into what the government is doing. And these tools give the members some real teeth. For example, they can ask direct questions to ministers. They can use an adjournment motion to literally halt the day's proceedings to debate an urgent public issue. And these standing committees are absolutely crucial. They're like small, specialized task forces that dive deep into the details of new laws and government performance. And this isn't just some dusty old rulebook, you know? You can see these tools in action all the time. Just take a look at the Assembly's schedule from December 2023. You can see meetings scheduled for different standing committees and even specific days set aside just for answering members' questions. So yeah, it's not just theory, it's a living, breathing process. So what does it actually take to become an MPA? Well, the requirements are pretty straightforward. You've got to be a citizen of Pakistan, be at least 25 years old, be a registered voter in the province, and of course, you have to be considered a person of good character. You know, this assembly has been on quite a journey. It didn't just pop up overnight, and it hasn't always looked the way it does today.
It has a long and really fascinating history of change and evolution. The journey started all the way back in 1932 as a legislative council. It was later dissolved, then brought back in 1970. But a really huge modern milestone just happened in 2019. That's when, for the very first time, elections were held for seats from the newly merged tribal districts, which made the assembly way more representative than it had ever been before. And of course, this isn't a job for life. There's a built-in reset button. A term lasts for 5 years, unless it gets dissolved earlier. This makes sure that the people have a regular chance to choose their representatives and renew the assembly's mandate. And that's the thing. This isn't some static, ancient institution. It is still evolving right now. Just look at this quote from the Assembly's own website. They recently updated their entire rulebook for the first time in 37 years. That's a huge deal, and it's a clear sign that this is an active body, adapting to meet the challenges of today. Which really brings us to our final thought here. We've seen that the Assembly does a lot. It makes laws, it controls the money, it holds the powerful accountable. But in a province that is constantly changing, what do you think is its single most crucial job today? Is it representation? Is it pushing for development? Or maybe it's something else entirely? That's definitely something to think about.